Centuries ago, Earth was a planet full of life. It was a world where humanity thrived, building cities that touched the clouds and creating machines that could think almost like humans. But despite their achievements, humanity had one big problem. They were divided. Nations fought over land, resources, and power. The people of Earth were too busy fighting each other to notice the stars above them and the eyes watching from those stars. Far away from Earth, in the vastness of space, there was a group called the Galactic Council. This council was made up of many alien races, some with skin like metal, others with bodies made of light, and still others who floated without legs or arms. They had built an empire across the galaxy, ruling planets and guiding civilizations. To them, Earth was just another dot in the cosmos, but when they looked closer, they saw something troubling. Humans were chaotic. They fought wars, polluted their planet, and seemed unable to work together. The Council decided that such a species could not be allowed to grow stronger. If humans spread to the stars, they might bring their chaos with them. Chancellor Vela, the leader of the Galactic Council, was a tall, slender alien with shimmering blue skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. She was known for her calm voice and sharp mind. When she spoke, even the strongest warriors listened. Vela believed in order above all else, and she saw humanity as a threat to that order. "They are like a fire," she once said during a meeting of the council. "If left unchecked, they will burn everything around them." After much debate, the council agreed on a plan. They called it Operation Cleansing. It was a grim name for a grim task. Fleets of alien ships descended upon Earth, their weapons aimed not at cities but at the heart of human strength, their ability to fight back. The Council didn't want to destroy Earth entirely. They wanted to control it. So instead of bombing every city into dust, they targeted military bases, communication networks, and governments. Within weeks, humanity's defenses crumbled. The attack came without warning. One moment, people were going about their lives, working, eating, laughing, and the next, the sky lit up with explosions. Alien ships hovered overhead, unleashing beams of energy that tore through buildings and melted steel. Panic spread like wildfire as people realized they were completely unprepared. There were no heroes to save them, no miracle weapons to turn the tide. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting aliens, but now those dreams turned into nightmares. Ryan Carter was a soldier stationed at a base in North America when the invasion began. He was young, barely out of training, and eager to prove himself. When the alarms blared and the ground shook beneath his feet, Ryan ran outside to see what was happening. What he saw froze him in place. A massive alien ship loomed in the sky, its surface covered in strange symbols that pulsed with light. Beams of energy shot down from the ship, striking nearby buildings and turning them into rubble. "Move!" shouted someone behind him, snapping Ryan out of his shock. He followed orders, sprinting toward the command center. Inside, officers scrambled to coordinate a response, but it was already too late. The aliens had disabled most of their systems before the first shot was fired. As Ryan grabbed a rifle and joined the defense effort, he knew deep down that they couldn't win. The enemy was too advanced, too powerful. For days, Ryan and his comrades fought bravely, holding off wave after wave of alien drones and soldiers. But reinforcements never came. Other bases had fallen and the chain of command was broken. Eventually, Ryan found himself alone, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been a proud military installation. Exhausted and injured, he hid in the ruins, hoping the aliens wouldn't find him. But then something unexpected happened. A small group of survivors appeared, led by a woman named Olivia Hayes. She was a pilot, quick-thinking and resourceful, with a fierce determination that inspired everyone around her. Together, Ryan and Olivia managed to escape the base and make their way to a hidden facility where a few ships remained operational. These ships were old and outdated compared to the alien vessels, but they were enough to get away. As they prepared to leave Earth, Ryan looked back at the burning horizon. His home was gone, reduced to ash and smoke. Tears filled his eyes, but he forced himself to stay strong. "We'll come back," he promised Olivia. "We'll come back stronger." With a heavy heart, Ryan boarded the last remaining ship, a battered cruiser called the Eclipse. Alongside him were dozens of other survivors, men and women who refused to give up even in the face of overwhelming odds. As the ship lifted off, Ryan watched Earth shrink behind them. He didn't know if they would survive, but he vowed to keep fighting, for revenge, for justice, and for the future of humanity. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Galactic Council declared victory. Chancellor Vela stood before the assembled leaders of the Council, her glowing eyes scanning the room. "It is done," she announced. "Humanity has been neutralized. Their threat to the galaxy is no more." Cheers erupted from the Council members, celebrating their triumph. But Vela felt no joy. She had seen the look in Ryan's eyes during the final transmission from Earth, a mix of anger and defiance. Something told her this wasn't the end, and she was right. Out in the cold void of space, the remnants of humanity clung to life, plotting their return. They may have lost their home, but they hadn't lost their spirit. And someday they would rise again, to reclaim Earth and make the Galactic Council pay for what they had done. After leaving Earth, the survivors drifted through the endless darkness of space. The Eclipse and a handful of other ships formed a small fleet, carrying the last remnants of humanity. At first, hope seemed impossible. Supplies were low, injuries were many, and morale was even lower. People whispered about giving up, about accepting that Earth was lost forever. But Captain Ryan Carter refused to let despair take hold. He gathered everyone in the main chamber of the Eclipse, standing tall despite his own exhaustion. "We've been beaten," Ryan began, his voice steady but firm. "But we're not broken. We've survived wars, famines, and disasters before. This is no different. We'll adapt, we'll rebuild, and someday we'll go back." His words sparked a flicker of determination in the hearts of the survivors. Among them was Olivia Hayes, who had quickly become Ryan's trusted second-in-command. Together they began organizing the fleet, assigning roles to everyone based on their skills. Some worked on repairing the ships, while others focused on rationing food and water. It wasn't easy, but slowly the group started to function like a team again. Their journey took them far beyond the borders of known space. The Galactic Council had claimed most of the galaxy, so the survivors had no choice but to venture into uncharted regions. These areas were dangerous, filled with asteroid fields, radiation storms, and strange phenomena that science couldn't explain. But they also held opportunities. In one such region, the fleet stumbled upon an abandoned alien outpost. The structure was old and crumbling, but inside, they found technology far beyond anything humanity had ever created. Dr. Ethan Brooks, a scientist who had been part of the original crew, led the effort to study the alien tech. He was a quiet man, often lost in thought, but his mind was sharp and his curiosity knew no bounds. As he examined the devices, he realized they could revolutionize human capabilities. One machine in particular caught his attention. It appeared to be some kind of energy generator, capable of producing vast amounts of power from almost nothing. "This changes everything," Ethan said to Ryan one day, holding up a glowing crystal he had extracted from the device. "If we can replicate this technology, we won't just survive, we'll thrive." Over the next several decades, humanity transformed. The survivors adapted to their harsh environment, using the alien technology to improve their ships and sustain themselves. They built new vessels faster and more durable than the ones they had escaped Earth with. They developed weapons powered by the alien energy source, making them deadlier than anything the Galactic Council possessed. Most importantly, they created advanced artificial intelligence systems to assist with navigation, strategy, and even governance. As generations passed, the original survivors grew older, and their children took their place. Ryan Carter eventually stepped down as captain, passing the mantle to his grandson, Alex Carter. Alex had grown up hearing stories of Earth and the Council's betrayal. To him, revenge wasn't just a goal, it was a duty. He trained tirelessly, learning everything he could about leadership, combat, and diplomacy. By the time he assumed command, Alex was ready to lead humanity back to glory. Beside Alex stood Lieutenant Sophia Reed, a descendant of Olivia Hayes. Sophia had inherited her ancestors' quick thinking and resourcefulness. She became Alex's closest advisor, helping him plan their return to the galaxy. Together, they oversaw the final stages of Project Phoenix, a bold initiative designed to reclaim Earth and punish the Galactic Council. But not everyone shared their enthusiasm. Some members of the fleet doubted whether humanity was truly ready to face the Council. After all, the Council controlled thousands of planets and commanded armies of advanced warships. How could a small group of refugees possibly stand against such power? Tensions rose as debates turned into arguments. A few even suggested staying hidden, living quietly in exile rather than risking extinction. Alex understood their fears, but he refused to let doubt weaken their resolve. "We've spent centuries preparing for this moment," he told the crew during a heated meeting. "Our ancestors sacrificed everything so we could live. Are we going to waste that sacrifice by hiding in the shadows? No. We owe it to them. And to ourselves to fight." Sophia added her voice to his. "The Council thinks we're gone. They think they've wiped us out. That gives us an advantage. We'll strike hard and fast, hitting where they least expect it. If we stay united, we can win." Her words calmed the crowd, reminding them of their purpose. Slowly, the dissent faded, replaced by a renewed sense of determination. Preparations for Project Phoenix accelerated. Ships were upgraded, weapons were tested, and strategies were refined. Everyone knew the stakes. Failure meant the end of humanity, but success meant freedom and vengeance. While humanity prepared for war, life aboard the fleet continued. Children played in the corridors, laughter echoing through the metal halls. Farmers tended hydroponic gardens, growing crops to feed the population. Artists painted murals depicting Earth's beauty, keeping its memory alive for those who had never seen it. Despite the hardships, there was a sense of community, a bond forged by shared struggle and common goals. One evening, Alex stood on the bridge of the eclipse, staring out at the stars. Sophia joined him, holding 2 cups of synthetic coffee. "You look like you have something on your mind," she said, handing him a cup. "I was thinking about Earth," Alex replied. "What it must look like now. Do you think they've rebuilt it? Or is it still a wasteland?" Sophia sipped her drink thoughtfully. "Either way, it's ours, not theirs, and we'll take it back." Alex nodded, feeling a surge of pride. Humanity had endured unimaginable loss, yet here they were, stronger than ever. Their journey had been long and painful, but it had also made them resilient. They weren't the same people who had fled Earth centuries ago. They were smarter, tougher, and more united. The Galactic Council might have thought they had triumphed, but they had underestimated humanity's spirit. As the fleet approached the edge of Council-controlled space, Alex gave the order to activate the cloaking devices. Developed using the alien technology, these devices rendered the ships invisible to sensors. It was a risky move. If the Council detected them, they would lose their element of surprise. But Alex was willing to take the risk. This was their chance to strike back, to show the galaxy that humanity was not extinct. The first target was a remote outpost near the border of Council territory. The outpost served as a supply depot, providing resources to nearby colonies. Destroying it would send a clear message. Humanity was back and they meant business. Under cover of darkness, the fleet launched a swift assault. Missiles streaked through space, striking the outpost with pinpoint accuracy. Within minutes, the facility was reduced to rubble. When the attack was over, Alex recorded a message to be broadcast across the galaxy. Standing in front of a camera, he spoke with calm authority. "To the Galactic Council and all who serve them, we are the children of Earth. You thought you had erased us, but you failed. We are coming for our home, and we will not stop until justice is done." The message spread quickly, reaching every corner of the Council's empire. Fear rippled through the galaxy as rumors of humanity's return spread. For the first time in centuries, the name human was spoken with awe and dread. The Council had believed themselves invincible, But now they faced a foe unlike any they had encountered before. Back aboard the fleet, the survivors celebrated their victory. It was only the beginning, but it proved that their efforts had not been in vain. Earth was still far away, and the road ahead would be fraught with danger. But for the first time in generations, humanity dared to dream of a future where they were free. And nothing, not the Council, not the vastness of space, not even the weight of history, would stop them from claiming it. The message from Commander Alex Carter spread like wildfire across the galaxy. It was heard on bustling space stations, in quiet colonies, and even in the council chambers themselves. The words were simple, but carried a weight that sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. We are the children of Earth. You thought you had erased us, but you failed. For centuries, the Council had believed humanity to be extinct, a footnote in history. Now they realized their mistake, and it terrified them. Chancellor Vela sat silently in her private chamber, replaying the transmission over and over. Her glowing blue skin seemed dimmer than usual, her sharp eyes clouded with unease. She had always prided herself on her foresight, her ability to anticipate threats before they became dangerous. But this was something she hadn't seen coming. Humans weren't supposed to survive. They were supposed to be weak, chaotic, and ultimately forgettable. Yet here they were, not only alive, but stronger than ever. Vela summoned Admiral Kale, the leader of the Council's military forces. Kale was a Zyran, a race known for their brute strength and tactical brilliance. His armored body shimmered faintly under the light as he entered the chamber, his tail flicking impatiently behind him. "You called for me, Chancellor?" he asked, his voice deep and gravelly. "Yes," Vela replied, turning to face him. "It seems your warnings were correct. Humanity has returned." Kale's lips curled into a smirk. He had been cautioning the Council about the possibility of human survivors for years, but most had dismissed him as paranoid. Now, his instincts were vindicated. "What are your orders?" he asked, eager to act. "We need to prepare for war," Vela said firmly. "But first we must understand how they survived and why they're attacking now. Gather intelligence. Find out where they've been hiding and what they've been doing all these years." Kale nodded and left the chamber, already formulating plans. He knew the humans would strike again, and soon. Their first attack had been swift and precise, targeting a remote outpost with devastating efficiency. Whoever these survivors were, they weren't the same disorganized species the Council had wiped out centuries ago. They had evolved, adapted, and grown stronger. This realization filled Kale with both dread and excitement. He respected worthy opponents, and if the humans proved to be such, he would relish the challenge. Meanwhile, Ambassador Lyra watched the unfolding chaos with growing concern. Unlike Vela or Kale, Lyra was not a warrior or a strategist. She was a diplomat, representing one of the more peaceful races within the Council. Her slender frame and soft voice often made others underestimate her, but Lyra was far from powerless. She had spent decades advocating for fairness and cooperation within the Council, though her efforts were frequently ignored. Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that Operation Cleansing had been a grave mistake. When she first learned about the plan to destroy humanity, she had argued against it, warning that erasing an entire species could have unforeseen consequences, but her protests fell on deaf ears. Now those consequences were becoming painfully clear. Curiosity drove Lyra to dig deeper into the Council's archives. She accessed restricted files, searching for any information about humanity's history before the Purge. What she found shocked her. The records painted a picture of a species full of potential. Despite their flaws, humans had demonstrated incredible creativity, innovation, and resilience. They had built wonders on Earth, explored the depths of their oceans, and reached for the stars. Lyra began to wonder if the Council had misjudged them, seeing only their chaos and ignoring their strengths. As she sifted through the files, Lyra discovered something else. Evidence that Chancellor Vela had pushed for Operation Cleansing not out of necessity, but out of fear. According to the documents, Vela had viewed humanity's rapid technological progress as a threat to the Council's dominance. By destroying them, she had hoped to eliminate competition and solidify her own power. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. If this information became public, it could shatter the Council's authority. Determined to uncover the truth, Lyra decided to take a risk. She reached out to Admiral Kale, knowing he might sympathize with her concerns. Though Kale was a soldier, he valued honor above all else, and Lyra believed he would want to know the real reason behind the Council's actions. When they met in secret aboard a neutral station, Lyra shared what she had learned. "This changes everything," Kale growled after hearing her story. "If the Council learns you have this information, they'll silence you." "I know," Lyra admitted, "but I can't stay silent. Humanity deserves justice, and so does the galaxy. If we don't address the Council's corruption, this war will tear us apart." Kale hesitated, weighing his options. On one hand, exposing Vela's motives could weaken the Council at a time when they needed unity. On the other hand, continuing to fight without addressing the root cause of the conflict would only prolong the suffering. Finally, he nodded. "I'll help you," he said. "But we need proof. Something undeniable." Back aboard the human fleet, preparations for the next phase of Project Phoenix continued. The destruction of the outpost had boosted morale, proving that humanity could hold its own against the Council. But Alex knew they couldn't rely on surprise forever. Sooner or later, the Council would mobilize its full strength, and humanity would face its greatest test yet. Sophia worked tirelessly alongside Alex, analyzing data and planning strategies. Together, they identified key targets, supply lines, communication hubs, and lightly defended colonies. Each strike would weaken the Council's grip on the galaxy and buy humanity more time to prepare for the inevitable showdown. One evening, as the fleet drifted through the void, Alex received an unexpected transmission. The signal was weak and distorted, but the voice on the other end was unmistakably alien. "Commander Carter," the voice said. "This is Ambassador Lyra of the Galactic Council. I wish to speak with you." Alex exchanged a glance with Sophia, who raised an eyebrow in suspicion. "Why should I trust you?" Alex replied cautiously. "You shouldn't," Lyra admitted. "But I believe we share a common goal. Ending this war before it destroys us all. I have information that may interest you." Intrigued, Alex agreed to meet with Lyra in a neutral zone. Accompanied by Sophia and a small escort, he traveled to a derelict space station orbiting a dying star. There, he met Lyra for the first time. Her appearance was striking. Her translucent skin glowed faintly, and her large, expressive eyes seemed to radiate sincerity. Lyra wasted no time. She handed Alex a data chip containing the evidence she had gathered about Vela's role in Operation Cleansing. "Your people were betrayed," she explained. "This wasn't about protecting the galaxy. It was about eliminating a rival." Alex listened intently, his jaw tightening as he processed the information. When Lyra finished, he looked at her with a mixture glare of anger and determination. "Thank you," he said finally. "This will give our people the truth they deserve." Lyra nodded. "Use it wisely. And remember, not everyone in the Council supports Vela. Some of us want peace." As Alex and Sophia returned to the fleet, they discussed the implications of Lyra's revelation. Exposing the Council's corruption could turn the tide of the war, inspiring rebellions among oppressed species and undermining Vela's authority. But it also carried risks. If the Council learned of Lyra's betrayal, she would be branded a traitor, and humanity might lose a valuable ally. Despite the uncertainty, Alex knew what he had to do. He ordered the fleet's communications team to broadcast Lyra's evidence across the galaxy. The message was simple. "The Galactic Council lied to you. They destroyed Earth not to protect the galaxy but to protect their own power. Join us in fighting for justice." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, oppressed species rose up against their council overlords. Colonies declared independence, and ships defected from the Council's fleet. Even, some Council members began questioning Vela's leadership, demanding answers about Operation Cleansing. Chancellor Vela reacted with fury. She ordered Admiral Kale to crush the rebellions and capture the human fleet at all costs. But Kale hesitated. He had seen the evidence Lyra provided, and it troubled him. Was he truly serving justice, or merely enforcing tyranny? For the first time in his life, Kale questioned his loyalty to the Council. As the galaxy descended into chaos, humanity prepared for its next move. With the Council distracted by internal strife, Alex saw an opportunity to strike closer to home. Their ultimate goal remained unchanged: Earth. But reclaiming their homeworld would require every ounce of strength and ingenuity humanity possessed. On the bridge of the eclipse, Alex stood beside Sophia, gazing at the stars ahead. "We're close," he said quietly. "Closer than we've ever been." Sophia placed a hand on his shoulder. "And we're ready. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." For the first time in centuries, humanity had allies, species, who saw them not as a threat, but as fellow victims of the Council's greed. United by a shared desire for freedom, they marched toward Earth, determined to reclaim their birthright and bring an end to the Council's reign of terror. The stage was set for the final battle. The galaxy was in chaos. The truth about Operation Cleansing had spread like wildfire, igniting rebellions across the Council's empire. Oppressed species who had long suffered under the Council's rule now saw an opportunity to break free. Colonies declared independence, ships deserted the Council's fleet, and even some Council members began questioning Chancellor Vela's leadership. The once united empire was crumbling from within, and humanity was at the heart of it all. "Commander," Alex Carter watched the reports come in from the bridge of the eclipse. Every day, more planets joined the fight against the Council. Some sent messages of support, while others offered resources or fighters to aid humanity's cause. It was a turning point, but Alex knew the hardest battles were still ahead. The Council wasn't defeated yet, and Earth, their ultimate goal, was heavily guarded. "We've done well," Sophia Reed said as she stood beside him, her eyes scanning the data on the screen. "But the Council won't give up easily. They'll throw everything they have at us." Alex nodded. "They're desperate, and desperate enemies are dangerous. But we have something they don't: unity. Not just among ourselves, but with others, who want freedom." Despite the growing unrest, Chancellor Vela refused to back down. She called an emergency meeting of the Council, her glowing blue skin shimmering with barely contained rage. The chamber was tense, filled with murmurs and accusations. Some Council members demanded answers about Operation Cleansing, while others urged immediate action against humanity. Vela silenced them with a single raised hand. "This is not the time for division," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "Humanity has shown us their true nature. They are manipulators, liars, and traitors. If we do not stop them now, they will destroy everything we've built." Admiral Kale stood nearby, his armored body rigid with unease. He had always been loyal to the Council, but Lyra's revelations weighed heavily on his mind. Was he fighting for justice, or simply enforcing tyranny? He pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. For now, he had no choice but to obey Vela's orders. "Prepare the fleet," Vela commanded. "We will meet humanity in battle and crush them once and for all." As the Council mobilized its forces, Alex and Sophia planned their next move. With the Council distracted by internal rebellions, they decided to strike closer to Earth. Their target was a massive space station orbiting Mars, a critical hub for the Council's supply lines. Destroying it would weaken the Council's defenses around Earth and pave the way for their final assault. The attack began under cover of darkness. Using cloaking technology, the human fleet slipped past the Council's patrols and positioned themselves near the station. When the order came, missiles streaked through space, striking the station with devastating precision. Explosions lit up the void as sections of the station broke apart, sending debris tumbling into the red planet below. On board the Eclipse, cheers erupted as the mission succeeded. The destruction of the space station was a major victory, cutting off the Council's ability to resupply their forces near Earth. But Alex knew they couldn't celebrate for long. The Council would retaliate. And when they did, humanity would need every advantage they could get. Back on the Council's flagship, Admiral Kale reviewed the damage reports. His tail flicked irritably as he studied the images of the destroyed station. Humanity's tactics were clever and efficient, targeting weak points with surgical strikes. They weren't the disorganized species he remembered from centuries ago. They had evolved into a formidable foe. "They're learning," Kale muttered to himself. "And they're using our own weaknesses against us." Vela entered the command center, her expression grim. "What is our status?" she asked. "The station is gone," Kyle replied, "but we still hold the upper hand. Humanity may be resourceful, but they lack numbers. We can overwhelm them if we act quickly." Vela nodded. "Then prepare your fleet. We will confront them directly and end this rebellion once and for all." Meanwhile, Ambassador Lyra worked tirelessly to rally support for humanity's cause. She traveled to rebel-held territories, delivering speeches that inspired hope and defiance. Her words resonated with those who had suffered under the Council's rule, reminding them that freedom was worth fighting for. "You have seen the truth," Lyra told a crowd gathered on a liberated colony. "The Council does not protect us, it controls us. Humanity fights not just for themselves, but for all who seek justice. Stand with them, and together, we will reclaim our future." Her efforts bore fruit as more species joined the fight. Ships from distant systems arrived to reinforce humanity's fleet, bringing new weapons, technology, and warriors. For the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't alone. They had allies, friends, who shared their dream of a better galaxy. As the combined rebel fleet approached Earth, Alex addressed the crew of the Eclipse. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Earth is waiting for us. Our home. The place where it all began. Today we take it back." The room erupted in cheers, fists raised in determination. Sophia stood beside Alex, her expression fierce. "Let's finish this," she said. The battle for Earth was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council's fleet, led by Admiral Kyle, clashed with the rebel forces in a dazzling display of firepower and strategy. Ships darted through space, exchanging volleys of missiles and energy beams. Explosions lit up the void as vessels on both sides were torn apart. Humanity's smaller, faster ships proved to be a key advantage. Pilots weaved through the lumbering Council dreadnoughts, targeting weak points and disabling their weapons. Sophia coordinated the attacks, her tactical genius shining as she directed squads of fighters to exploit gaps in the enemy's defenses. On the ground, Marines led by Lieutenant Marcus Cole fought to retake strategic locations. Armed with advanced weaponry developed during their exile, they overwhelmed Council forces stationed on Earth. Battles raged in ruined cities and barren landscapes, each victory bringing them closer to reclaiming their homeworld. Amid the chaos, Alex faced a personal challenge. During a daring raid on a Council command ship, he encountered Admiral Kale himself. The two leaders locked eyes, their mutual respect evident despite their opposing sides. "You've done well," Kale admitted, his deep voice tinged with grudging admiration. "But you cannot win. The Council's power is too great." "We already have," Alex replied. "Your empire is falling apart. Your people don't believe in you anymore. This isn't about winning. It's about justice." Kyle hesitated, torn between duty and doubt. Finally, he lowered his weapon. "Perhaps you're right," he said quietly. "Perhaps it's time for change." With Kale's surrender, the tide of the battle shifted decisively in humanity's favor. Council ships began retreating, their crews demoralized and leaderless. One by one, the remaining outposts fell to the rebels until only Earth itself remained under the Council's control. As the dust settled, Alex stood on the surface of Earth, gazing at the scarred horizon. The planet was a shadow of its former self, its skies gray and its lands barren. But it was still home, and it was theirs again. Around him, survivors celebrated, tears streaming down their faces as they touched the soil of their ancestors for the first time. Sophia joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We did it," she said softly. "Against all odds, we came back." Alex nodded, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We've reclaimed Earth, but there's still work to be done. A new galaxy awaits, one built on fairness, cooperation, and hope." In the days that followed, humanity set to work rebuilding their world. Using advanced technology, they restored ecosystems, purified water supplies, and planted crops in the barren soil. Slowly, life began to return to Earth, a testament to humanity's resilience and determination. Across the galaxy, the Council's empire continued to crumble. With Vela's authority weakened and Kale defecting to the rebel cause, many Council members sought peace. Lyra played a crucial role in negotiating a ceasefire, ensuring that justice, not revenge, would guide the galaxy's future. For the first time in centuries, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope. They had faced extinction, endured exile, and fought their way back from the brink. Now they stood ready to lead a new era of unity and progress, an era where no one would suffer the same fate they had endured. And as Alex watched the sunrise, over Earth, he felt a quiet certainty. Humanity had risen from the ashes, proving that even in the darkest times the spirit of survival and justice could light the way forward. The battle for Earth was over, but the scars of war remained. The planet was still a wasteland, its skies choked with ash and its lands barren from centuries of neglect. Yet, despite the devastation, there was a sense of hope in the air. Humanity had returned to their homeworld, and they were determined to heal it. Under Commander Alex Carter's leadership, teams worked tirelessly to restore Earth's ecosystems. Machines powered by alien technology purified water, planted seeds, and cleared away debris. Slowly, life began to return to the planet. While some focused on rebuilding, others turned their attention to the future. Ambassador Lyra, now a trusted ally of humanity, helped broker peace talks between the rebel forces and the remnants of the Galactic Council. The Council's empire was in ruins, its once mighty leaders scattered or imprisoned. Chancellor Vela had gone into hiding, her whereabouts unknown. Without her iron grip, the Council fractured into factions, each vying for control. It was clear that the old order could not survive. Alex stood on a hill overlooking what used to be a thriving city. Now, it was little more than rubble and twisted metal. Beside him, Sophia Reed watched as engineers and scientists worked to clear the area. "It's going to take time," she said, breaking the silence. "But we'll get there." Alex nodded. "We have no choice. This is our home. If we don't rebuild it, who will?" Sophia smiled faintly. "You've changed. No, you're not just a soldier anymore. You're a leader." "I didn't ask for this," Alex admitted. "But someone has to do it." Their conversation was interrupted by a message from Lieutenant Marcus Cole, who had been leading ground operations. "Commander, we found something," he reported. "One of the Council's underground facilities. Looks like it's intact." Alex and Sophia exchanged a glance. The Council had buried many secrets beneath Earth's surface during their occupation. Whatever was hidden in that facility could provide answers, or pose new threats. "Let's check it out," Alex decided. The yacht team descended into the darkness, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. The facility was vast, filled with strange machines and glowing panels covered in alien symbols. Dr. Ethan Brooks, the scientist who had studied the alien outpost decades earlier, joined them to decipher the technology. As they explored deeper, they discovered something chilling. Records detailing experiments conducted on humans captured during Operation Cleansing. "These are atrocities," Ethan muttered, his voice trembling as he reviewed the data. "They treated people like lab rats, trying to understand our biology so they could control us." Sophia clenched her fists, anger burning in her chest. This is why we fought. To stop things like this from happening again. Alex felt a surge of determination. We need to make sure everyone sees this. The galaxy needs to know what the Council did. As they prepared to leave the facility, alarms suddenly blared, red lights flashing throughout the corridors. "We've been detected," Marcus warned, raising his weapon. Moments later, Council drones swarmed into the room, their metallic bodies glinting menacingly in the dim light. The team fought their way out, narrowly escaping before reinforcements arrived. Back on the surface, Alex ordered the facility destroyed, to prevent the Council from using its secrets against them. Explosions echoed below as the underground complex collapsed, burying the horrors within. Meanwhile, aboard the Eclipse, Ambassador Lyra received troubling news. A faction of the Council, led by a ruthless admiral named Zarek, had regrouped and was planning a counterattack. Unlike Vela, Zarek believed in total annihilation rather than negotiation. He saw humanity and their allies as a cancer that needed to be eradicated completely. "We can't let them gain momentum," Lyra told Alex during a secure transmission. "If Zarek succeeds in rallying support, the war will start all over again." Alex agreed. "Then we hit them first." "Where are they based?" Lyra hesitated. "Their stronghold is near the Galactic core, heavily defended. Attacking directly would be suicide." "Not if we use stealth," Alex countered. "We've done it before. We can do it again." With Lyra's help, Alex devised a daring plan. Using cloaking technology, a small strike team would infiltrate Zarek's base and disable its defenses from within. Once the shields were down, the main fleet would launch a concentrated assault. It was risky, but it was their best chance to end the conflict once and for all. The mission fell to Sophia, who volunteered to lead the infiltration team. Alongside her were some of the fleet's most skilled operatives, including Marcus Cole. As they approached the enemy base, tension filled the air. One mistake, and they would be caught. Inside the base, the team moved silently, avoiding patrols and disabling security systems. Sophia's quick thinking and tactical expertise proved invaluable as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors. Finally, they reached the central control room where Zarek himself was overseeing operations. "You're too late," Zarek sneered when he realized they were there. "Even if you disable my defenses, reinforcements are already on the way." Sophia didn't hesitate. She activated the virus Ethan had programmed, which spread through the base's systems, shutting everything down. Alarms blared as the shields dropped, signaling the fleet to begin their attack. Outside, the rebel forces launched a barrage of missiles tearing through Zarek's defenses. Caught off guard, Zarek's forces scrambled to respond, but it was too late. The rebels overwhelmed them, capturing the base and neutralizing the threat. Zarek was taken into custody, his plans for revenge crushed. Back on Earth, Alex addressed the survivors gathered in a makeshift amphitheater. "Today we struck a blow against those who sought to destroy us," he said, his voice strong and steady. "But this isn't just about defeating our enemies. It's about building a better future, for us and for everyone in the galaxy." Cheers erupted from the crowd, echoing across the barren landscape. For the first time in generations, humanity dared to dream of a world without fear. They had reclaimed their home, exposed the Council's crimes, and forged alliances with other species. Together, they were creating a new era of cooperation and unity. Ambassador Lyra stood beside Alex, watching the celebration unfold. "You've given the galaxy hope," she said softly. "That's a rare gift." Alex shook his head. "We couldn't have done it alone. None of this would have been possible without allies like you." As the sun set over Earth, casting a golden glow across the horizon, Alex felt a deep sense of peace. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but humanity had proven time and again that they could overcome any challenge. They had risen from the ashes stronger and more united than ever, and though the galaxy still bore the scars of war, there was a quiet certainty in the air. A new chapter had begun, one where justice, resilience, and hope would guide the way forward. The galaxy was changing. The fall of the Galactic Council had left a void, and humanity stood at the center of it all. With Earth slowly healing and their allies growing stronger, Alex Carter and his people began shaping a new order. It wasn't easy. Every decision carried weight and every action sparked debate. But for the first time in centuries, humanity had a voice, not just for themselves but for others who had suffered under the Council's rule. Ambassador Lyra played a key role in this transition. She worked tirelessly to unite the fractured species of the galaxy, urging them to set aside old grudges and build something better. Her speeches resonated with many, especially those who had lived under the Council's oppressive regime. "We cannot go back to the way things were," she told a gathering of leaders from different worlds. "This is our chance to create a future where everyone has a say, a future built on fairness and trust." Under her guidance, representatives from across the galaxy came together to form the United Galactic Alliance. Unlike the Council, which had ruled with fear and control, the Alliance aimed to be a coalition of equals. Each member world would have a vote, ensuring that no single race could dominate the others. Humanity, having led the rebellion, earned a respected place among the founding members. Alex attended the first meeting of the Alliance aboard the Eclipse, its battered hull now repaired and gleaming with pride. He stood before the assembled delegates, his expression calm but firm. "This isn't about revenge," he said, his words carrying across the chamber. "It's about learning from the past. We've seen what happens when power is abused. Let's make sure it never happens again." The delegates applauded, moved by his sincerity. Sophia Reed sat nearby, watching the scene unfold. She felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing how far they had come since fleeing Earth. Yet she also knew the work was far from over. Rebuilding trust between species wouldn't happen overnight, and there were still factions loyal to the old Council who opposed the Alliance. But for now, hope outweighed fear. As the Alliance took shape, efforts to restore Earth continued. Teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock, using advanced technology to heal the planet's wounds. Rivers that had run dry began to flow again, forests sprouted from barren soil, and animals once thought extinct were reintroduced to the wild. Slowly, Earth transformed from a wasteland into a living, breathing world. One day, while supervising a reforestation project, Dr. Ethan Brooks made an unexpected discovery. Buried beneath layers of ash and debris, he uncovered fragments of human artifacts, books, tools, and even pieces of art. These relics offered a glimpse into Earth's past, reminding everyone of the civilization that had once thrived there. Ethan carefully preserved the items, believing they could serve as a bridge between humanity's history and its future. "These belong to us," Ethan told Alex later, holding up a charred book. "They remind us of who we were and who we can become." Alex nodded, touched by the find. "We'll rebuild not just the land but our culture too. Our stories, our traditions, they're part of what makes us human." While Earth healed, Ambassador Lyra faced challenges of her own. Though most supported the Alliance, some Council loyalists refused to accept the new order. Among them was Chancellor Vela, who had resurfaced after months in hiding. Using encrypted channels, she reached out to her remaining followers, urging them to resist the Alliance and restore the Council's dominance. "You think you've won?" Vela sneered during a secret transmission intercepted by the rebels. "This so-called alliance is weak. Divide them and they will fall." Her words worried Alex and Sophia, but they refused to let fear dictate their actions. Instead, they focused on strengthening the alliance, forging bonds between member worlds and addressing grievances that might drive them apart. Lyra, meanwhile, worked to counter Vela's influence, exposing her attempts to sabotage the peace process. "We know what you're trying to do," Lyra told Vela during a tense confrontation arranged through intermediaries. "But your time is over. The galaxy doesn't need rulers. It needs partners." Vela's response was cold and dismissive. "History will judge me kindly, you'll see." Despite her bravado, Vela's support dwindled. Many of her former allies abandoned her, unwilling to risk everything for a lost cause. Without resources or troops, she became little more than a shadowy figure lurking in the fringes of space. Eventually, she vanished altogether, leaving behind only rumors and unanswered questions. With Vela gone, the galaxy entered a period of relative stability. Trade routes reopened, diplomatic relations improved, and cooperation replaced conflict. Humanity, once dismissed as chaotic and insignificant, became a symbol of resilience and unity. Their story inspired others to believe that even the darkest times could give way to light. On Earth, the survivors celebrated their progress with a festival marking 1 year since their return. Music filled the air as people danced beneath the stars, their laughter echoing across the newly green hills. Children played games, unaware of the hardships their ancestors had endured. For them, Earth was simply home, a place of joy and possibility. Alex watched the festivities from a distance, feeling a mix of pride and gratitude. Beside him, Sophia smiled. "Looks like we did okay," she said. "We did more than okay," Alex replied. "We gave people a reason to hope." As the night wore on, Alex climbed a hill overlooking the celebrations. From this vantage point, he could see the horizon painted in hues of orange and purple by the setting sun. It was a sight he had dreamed of for years, a reminder of why they had fought so hard. Earth was alive again, and so were its people. Behind him, footsteps approached. Turning, he saw Ambassador Lyra walking toward him, her translucent skin glowing softly in the twilight. "You've done something remarkable," she said, joining him. "Not just for humanity, but for everyone." Alex shook his head. "We couldn't have done it without you, without all of us." Lyra smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But don't underestimate the power of leadership. You've shown the galaxy what it means to stand together." For a moment they stood in silence, watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. Then Alex spoke, his voice quiet but resolute. "This is just the beginning. There's still so much to do." "There always is," Lyra agreed. "But for now, enjoy the moment. You've earned it." And Alex did. As he gazed at the stars, he felt a deep sense of peace. Humanity had risen from the ashes, reclaiming their home and reshaping the galaxy. They had faced extinction, endured exile, and fought their way back from the brink. Now they stood ready to lead a new era, one defined not by conquest but by cooperation, not by fear, but by hope. In the distance, fireworks lit up the sky, their colors reflecting in the eyes of those below. Children cheered, couples embraced, and strangers shared smiles. It was a moment of unity, a celebration of survival and renewal. And though challenges lay ahead, Alex knew they would face them together, as a family, as a species, and as part of something greater than themselves. For the first time in centuries, humanity looked to the future not with dread, but with anticipation. The scars of the past remained, but they served as reminders of how far they had come, and how much further they could go. Together, they had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the spirit of resilience and justice could light the way forward. And as the fireworks faded into the night, Alex allowed himself a small smile. The road ahead would be long, but humanity had already shown the galaxy what they were capable of. Whatever came next, they would face it, not as victims but as victors.